So the recording has started and the session will be available later on. And I assume that most of the attendees know ProjectWise already. And as yesterday, if you have a question or clarification, just drop it in a text in the chat, and I'll see it on the another screen, and we can discuss it. If you wish to note or comment on anything, you can do that during the training demo. All right. So, I was informed that primarily the attendees will be from design and engineering departments for additional training and on ProjectWise configuration. All right. So the connection to ProjectWise we will work on Thames PW Bentley.com Thames PW data source, this one, and you have to some of the folders we have talked on yesterday, and don't know whether all of you have been yesterday or only just part of you. So I will repeat that initially the folder structure is divided by quadrants, and under each quadrant you have a location folder. If additional locations are required, then those should be created by project administrators, ProjectWise administrators, and each project should be created under the appropriate location. So if you need to work on it, you have to go into appropriate place. So quadrant location, navigate to your folder, and based on to which discipline you are assigned, then to that discipline you will have access rights. I assume that you all know to which disciplines you are working, and I think that if there can be one person in multiple disciplines, so then that person will be in multiple groups and will have the combined access rights. All right. So the folder structure. One second. All right. So the projects are there, and if we would go to application data and then mapping, so here you can see some place folders for GIS boundaries, ordinate surveys, and other things. So you could attach as a reference some files from here, and they're data source wide. Right. It will be a bit of repeating from yesterday, that the engineers and designers who are in working progress group should create a document, and they can create documents in their own discipline. So if you are architectural or civil VIP group, you will be able to create documents under civil engineering group folder structure, And if you're landscape designers or mechanical engineers, you will be able creating documents under your discipline. And each folder, so we'll go here, 2D folder, 2D drawing folder, so that's a drawing area, and drawing area has particular document code. Well, 2D model and 3D composite model, and we'll have models environment, so that means it has different name and document code from drawing. And so I guess that the folder name just describes what should be created in it. For instance, 2D drawing, those to be 2D drawings, 2D models, 3D composite models, and we have 3D federated models and a 3D models. Additionally, schedules, which will follow drawings naming convention, and visualizations, which will not follow any naming convention. So visualizations will have the same name of the document as any other document. So the difference I could show you. So if we go to 2D drawings and I just drag and drop in this case, a text document, and you see suggests where should we drop it. My text document gets a project ID, company ID, location, asset. We have to select type and role. It's already predefined, so you can probably track. Role is mechanical, type is drawing, because we have added to drawing. This is the one we have selected from drop-down list. Location is based on the initial folder, where company, so that is based on my user. From your users, you will have your own company assigned by default, but you can change it. And project ID, so that is the project ID. Once those are in, you can press generate, and next available number would be created. You cannot reuse two same numbers within the same environment. So that would mean within the same folders that have the same environment. We continue with creation and see the descriptions of each and every document code part are added. Additional things can be identified clearly where you need to add stuff. And I will continue with creation. The document is created, and I will create the same. I will use the same document under models, and see different folder. And the only difference here is that the type changed to M2 because it is a 2D model area. And you do not have any generate button because model description is a free text. So composite models will have the same environment as 2D model. You see, and the same naming thing. Project, no button for generation. Federated models have an iModel environment. We will come back to that a bit later. 3D model, this folder also has a model environment, so no generation of serial number, and on-demand PDF renditions have a PDF renditions environment, which is a mirror from the drawings and models environment. However, you cannot add anything here. So the only way that these attributes can be populated is that you would create a PDF using rendition services. So you see I have dragged and dropped the document inside, and there are no attributes, and a user cannot add any attributes. Raw data has no control with workflow nor environment, so it is just a raw data folder. You see the document name and number is not configured, and there are no attributes in any of the interfaces. For schedules, the environment is the same as for 2D drawing. So if I would create a document here, you will see the same approach. Need to change interface. If you would see strange names, as I did here, instead of, so note that we have two interfaces. One is for document attributes and one is for revision attributes. And for document attributes, you have the nice names, and for revision attributes, you have the system names. So just change the document attributes and you will see all the nice human understandable names. Right, you see everything is inherited as it's supposed to be. The type has changed to schedules, SH, and the discipline is still mechanical. I can create this one. You see generated 01. And if I were to create the same document again and select all the same things, you see it will generate 02. I can manually try changing to 01, but that will give me an error message saying that the code is already used. See, the code is already in use, so you cannot reuse the same document name in this drawings environment. So that would mean that each and every name here is unique. I can press again 02. However, I can use any other number which is not used already. Any questions so far?
Hi, Martinez.
Yes, hello.
Hello, this is Vivek here. Can you tell us where we are going to place the XR files? Means you're talking about the main sheet file now. Regarding the 2D files, we are attaching different XR files.
XR files?
Reference files.
Reference file.
Oh. Okay, okay. So reference files, it depends, but we talked with Kevin and Trevor, and I would assume that the models are the references,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
2D models or
Okay.
3D models.
Yeah.
And yep. And the composite model, so this is something where you have the master model to which you would reference all the other models.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if
Thanks.
you need to reference something from another discipline, you will have to go just to another discipline and just reference
Yeah.
something from their approach. Note that you can reference only a shared document, but we'll come back to that a bit later.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And yep. And the last one, which is visualizations. So then this folder has no environment also, and that would mean that no document code would be suggested, just one field. Right. So as you may have seen or heard, that we have at least several environments, so that would mean at least 5. And one of them is for drawings, which generates a document name with the serial. See here, one of them is models, which generates name, however, does not generate a serial number, and the agreement was that it should be a description. So you can see here that it says M2 pumping station or something that is understandable within the project. Then you have, and those two environments are really similar. And by similar, I mean if you would see here, and I would add here, so side-by-side comparison other than the name and model description, which the drawing does not have. Everything else should be the same. So you see title and revision version, suitability codes, and everything except that scale and sheet size here, they are selectable. However, for models, they are fixed 1-to-1. That's it. And then if we move forward, then we have an iModels environment, which has less attributes. You see not even close in the amount of drawings or models attributes, and federated models area is meant for documents that cannot be attached in their native format. So for something that you cannot attach in their native format, like opened plant or auto plant or anything else that has a live database behind the scenes, where the approach is to export an iModel as a capture and then reference in an iModel. Here you have only a few things. So approver, revision version, and the description of the exported iModel. So that was the third. And For visualizations, we have a general environment, and that would mean you see just notes, no revision note, no approver, nothing other than free text. And the one that we talked before, on-demand PDF renditions, so that's attributes. The only difference here is rendition, the name, the label, and you cannot manually add anything regardless your role, regardless your access. So either the system fills them in or they are not filled in. All right. So let's then talk about workflows, mandatory attributes, and checks that are being done. Landscape. So I'll go. Yep. This is a new document that I have created recently, and attributes. You can invoke the properties. As you have seen, I have used right-click on properties. However, you can use a space bar, and it opens directly. We can go to third tab from the left side towards the right. Here you see all the attributes. If you do not see any attributes, or you see something like this, revision history, note that this is an interface change, and you can change it using this tool. And if you cannot see this toolbar, you need to go to Tools, so Views, Toolbars, and Enable Interface Toolbar. So once you have the document attribute, you should see the main collection of attributes, and everywhere the main collection of attributes will be under document attributes. The revision attributes will hold only revision attributes that are related to revision history, nothing more. So right, I will add on screen a diagram of the workflow. Right. So primarily you will be working in CD originated workflow. That would mean that the documents originate and are being developed in ProjectWise. So not outside of ProjectWise, but within ProjectWise. Right. So the new document is created, and the new document lands in work in progress state. With the revision 101, suitability 0, and the work in progress state. So once you have created this document, this is the place and time to design it, to actually open it and work on it. I could do that with right-click and open, assumingly that is opening in another screen. I will drag it here, but in essence, only in this state, in work in progress state, the document should be modified. No other state. If you need to modify the document, so you see the document is checked out. I have done some drawing and assembly, and I will close it and save it. And check in. and I need to move forward. We have some mandatory attributes. They are marked with asterisks, but I'll demonstrate to you what happens if the document has no attributes, no required attributes. Approve, it asks with the approve model for checking. So this is the only thing that the designer or work in progress group can do. They can create a document, work on it, modify it, add required attributes, and move to content check state. And that is it from designers, as designers will have visibility of the same document in all the states. However, they will have no access in modifying or changing any of the state. Right, so that would mean, this action means that you have finished your work and you feel that it is in a correct position to be checked. Right, so you pressed to move to content check. However, you see have an error saying condition check failed, and it outlines the document. So it's document name and an attribute. There's one note that you will have only 4 attributes, but the name here does not go in line with the visible label that you see. This is a technical name, RV info line. So here you see only several attributes that are marked with asterisk, so title, and if I would mark here, you see on the lower side that it is marked as mandatory. Here, revision information is also mandatory. And scale and sheet size. So I have added one, save it, change state again, approve. You see, we have another attribute, TB scale, so that correlates to scale. I select the scale and press save. Try again. Approve for checking. TB title line 1, so that is C, title line 1. Save. Try once more. TB sheet, sheet size. Okay. Mandatory field. So it seems we have added all the attributes, and now it should allow you to approve the document. A sort of approve from your side and allow the document to go to content check. So, see, the state has changed to content check. Content check is this field. It will automatically fill in your user initial, so basically first letter of your name and the surname, and date when you have moved the document to content check. So at this state, as a designer, your role is finished. You can check the attributes, you can see them, however, you will have no access right of modifying them. Any questions, comments? All right. Right. As a checker, then, it is your duty now to check the document, and note that the document is visible only within your discipline. So everything that is work in progress, content check, approved for sharing, superseded with, is visible only to your discipline, not to other disciplines. That's why you cannot use, and that's the reason that they are not visible there, you cannot use work in progress documents as references in your design files, because they're not approved, they have not been checked. Right, so as a checker, this field is mandatory and filled in, sheet sizes, everything is filled in, but you see suitability code is also mandatory, which was suggested as a 0 code, but now it's cleared out and I will not be able to move out of approve for sharing. So I can move from content check to approve for sharing, but not there. So as a checker, I could reject the document, saying that something was wrong with the document. Device reject. And the document follows the orange arrow, returns back to work in progress, and again becomes readable and writable for WIP group. The minor version has been increased, so you know that it is the second iteration of revision 1 that has been rejected, and suitability code is back to S0 because it is in work in progress state. Initials of the original originator or author has been cleared because it is back in work in progress, and rejected, revised by, you see the dates and initials. And the reason basically is stating from which state or why did the document return back in work in progress. So in our case, a just failed content check. Right, assuming that we have changed and everybody is happy with it. Right, so again, and I can move to approve for sharing. Yep. Cannot. Right, so the document is in a short state, approved for sharing, and now the approver has to either approve it or reject it back. So for your reference, there should be 3 short states and 3 longer states. So the long states in this workflow are the work in progress, shared state, and published documentation. The short states are all the rest: content check, approved for sharing, early publishing, and authorized for publication. By saying a short state or a long state, the difference is that, for instance, in work in progress, you do your design, you work on it, you have sort of no pressure of taking one or the other action. Once you have finished the document, you just move them to content check. However, for content check, the user, the checker, has to make a decision, and his decision should be either it passes, so the question goes either it's approvable for sharing or not, or it fails. So that's why it is considered as a short state, that the decision needs to be made. Approved for sharing Also, the decision should be made by the approver, and all approvers are discipline specific. So each and every discipline will have their own approvers. Approver makes a decision whether it's ready to be shared with other disciplines or not. So goes either back in work in progress or shared. While the document is shared, so the document can stay in that state and can be used as a reference for other designs. It can be used as a reference from different disciplines. Before that, it's not visible. And if the design is and the project is ready to issue documents, the approver moves it to authorize for publication, and this one is a short state because then the decision should be made by authorizer. Either it is good enough to publish or it's not, and you have to go to work in progress. And if it is, it goes to published and stays there until a new revision is required. Right, as you can see, this file has some references, and the references can be seen based on the icon, a small icon, but we can also see set show references, and it has two references. One is this one and another is this one. I can actually check the reference, and that is in work in progress. And the thing is that for this document now, approved for sharing, we will try to share it, but there is a limitation that before you share your master document, all of your references should be approved, so should be shared also. So you will not be allowed by the system to share a master document until your references are shared also. So go change state approve, and I should get an error message. Yes, so you see condition check failed, document reference is rejected, master document name. So it outlines that this document has references which are not shared. So seeing here, I can go change set and show references, and it will open the same window. Here I can see the references, and I can actually see that one of the references is in work in progress state. So I cannot approve my master until this reference is approved for sharing. I can do that straightly from this window, change, approve, or if there is a requirement, you can right-click open folder, go to particular folder where the reference is lying. So in this case, it's 2D model. So the master was in 2D drawing and the reference was in 2D model with this name, and the procedure is all the same. So it has the same requirements for mandatory attributes, suitability codes, and revision history, the revision information. Let's see if I were to change attributes. I see also revision history here. Documents. Right. So I have added everything, and need to move the same document to shared state before I can move the original drawing to shared state. So see, check content check, and I will need to update a suitability code. The suitability code is cleared because you are moving out of a work in progress state. Select The document is approved for sharing. And go to approve. Right. So you see that it created a historical version, superseded WIP, which is visible only to internal team, so inside the discipline, not for other disciplines, and created a shared copy. And now I will be able to approve my master, because all the ones should be there, and see that reference status approved, while for our master document, reference status is still unapproved. All right, I can. Right, checking the document, if everything is fine, and note that there is a attribute exchange rules for the project-wise attributes, and they are automatically adding values from the original document. And I will just go here and show you proof for sharing. So hopefully you are familiar with it. However, see project group, WI goes to project group here. And you see authored by and checked by are there. However, it goes as a initials to the revision history under here and here, and status S3 goes from here, revision version goes here, and so all the values in the title block are automatically added from project-wise. Drawing title even mandatory, and I could another 2 times mandatory, and I could right, and if I would close it, next time I would open it, the values there would be updated. See, 3 mandatories appeared here, 3 mandatories. And right, and we can approve the document. Alright, and you see the document is shared already. The same approach, this VIP version is saved as a historical and is available and visible inside of the discipline and are not visible for external users. And this one is visible, and this in this orange box is visible to all the project team, and it can be and should be assigned as a reference from different disciplines. Right? And I assume you may need to add additional things, like, for instance, composite models or federated models. So that would be federated models. And federated models have two states only, approved for sharing and shared. And I will create a model here. And the only difference here is, and the requirement for those two states is that if the document is approved for sharing state, that means that it is visible only to internal or only to your own discipline, but is not visible to other disciplines and cannot be added as reference and should not be added as reference. And if you do have it added as reference while you are within your discipline, you will not be able to approve your drawing in the same way as you cannot approve a drawing with a reference which is not shared. And it sort of aligns here to reference status. This is considered as unapproved, but if a approver goes and approves it, so change state approve, just asks whether to share a model. So it adds my name that I shared a model and just removes minor version stating that it is a shared version of that model, and approved is changed. So the approach here was approve for sharing, shared. So approve for sharing is visible to your own discipline, shared is shared across disciplines. And if you need to update the same model, you can revise it. And thus it creates a new version. It leaves this one as shared, so you can always refer back to it, and creates a new version 2.1 to which you can physically replace the I model and again add it for sharing if there is a requirement. For that, you see my name has been removed because this particular document is not shared. And you can add some descriptions. Go change, approve, and share. See again, it adds that I have shared it, so my initial is my responsibility. And revision version removed the minor one, the minor version, so stating that this is approved revision. Any questions, comments? Is it clear so far how to work? Any things that we have not covered yet? All right. I'll assume that everything is clear for now. All right. There's as you may know, each and every time when you open the drawing, you will see an updated title block. However, while approvers are moving to other states, so if you open the document under Shared, Authorized for Publication, you have no access right to update title block to the design file. So the system will update the title block to design file when the design document is moving from authorized for publication to published documentation. So this is the drawing. Attributes myself, and I will change state approve for publication. Yes. And go change state and go to published documentation. I cannot do that because again of the restrictions of document code, because from each and every state we have to change the document code as per BS 1192. And authorizer and approver are going to the same field. Initially, you would fill in authored, checked by, and approved by when the document goes into shared. However, when authorizer authorizes it for publication, approver is overwritten. All right, and now the PDF has been initiated, and it should be within the PDF renditions in mostly half an hour, because the schedule is running every half an hour to grab all published documents to put it to PDF renditions. Right. Do we have any project administrators here? All right. So I assume that not. So that then would conclude our training, unless you have any questions regarding the structure, attributes, environments, means of working, or if you need me to repeat or go into more details on any of the approach, just please let me know. Okay. I did not hear anything from you. Either you cannot unmute, but we'll talk about only last thing, that would be the pick list modification. So I'll go to any here, and you can see that some of the things can be added from pick list. You see several pick lists here and some values here and some other values here. States. Those can be modified by project administrators. They are data source wide, so once you modify them, all the projects will have them. And that would be done under System Administrator and Attribute Lookup Tables. And general attributes, so location town, you have seen 3 of those. Scales, all the available scales here. Sheet sizes, status codes, S, and sub-processes. Project administrators can extend them without any issues, so if a project requires, and if you need to add here something else, for instance, and need more, you contact project administrators and they will extend those pick lists for you. All right. Yes, another thing which is worth mentioning is revision history. So I have added a document and went to published state, and you see revision is only 1 line here. However, once a new revision is required and authorizer or publisher can revise the document, I would say revise, yes. So it has cleared all the author checked, everything that was related to that revision. It has left the title. However, revision information and description has been cleared because it is revision specific. And if you would change the interface here to revision attributes, you would see that the first line that we used to have for revision 1 has moved to the second line, 02, and the lowest line is the current revision. So if you do not see approved here, that means the revision is not shared. And here you see suitability code and the revision. If I were to open the document, everything would be added here.
Martinez?
Yes.
Yeah, I have one query over here. That, it's like with this new project wise, so each role holder will, it's like approve the drawing and he will change the state of the drawing, isn't it?
Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah. So, for example, the author will, once the author is happy with the drawing, so he will approve and the drawing will go for the engineering check or the CAD check, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the next, say, CAD checker is happy with the drawing, so he will pass it, he will approve the document and it will go to the engineering check. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in this case, then, at the last, who will, set the final status of the drawing? Because, when we have to, make the new revision of the drawing, so the earlier version has to be set the final status. So, who will be doing that?
At the moment, I do not think that the final status is used here.
Okay.
If the document goes towards published documentation, so the last state,
okay.
then everybody has the read-only access.
Okay.
So,
okay.
and the thing is that we are utilizing access controls on workflow states, and
okay.
each and every state here has different access controls. and
Okay.
published documentation is read-only, and
Okay.
So you don't need to use final status, which would make also it a read-only, but we use different technology to achieve it. So nobody can modify published documentation, but if you need to modify it, you have to revise it, and it goes back to work in progress. Then you modify the document, and it goes back through the whole checking process, which can be fast or slow depending on your colleagues. But yes, you do not need final status, but you will not be able to modify the document in published documentation. And yes, as for the links, it might be a bit different that you are used to work. I hope that you know how to check on which state, in which groups are you. So for instance, yes, go tools and then options and member of. And here I am architectural approver, checker, and a WIP, which is an authorizer and coordination group and project one member, which in real life is unrealistic, because I cannot be in it everything. But having WIP state, if you are a WIP user designer, so you have access right only in WIP state, basically. You make your work and move to content check. You do not have modify access in content check, so you cannot modify a file. If you are a checker, you move from approving to shared. Also, you will not be able to modify the document. And here, checker and work in progress user will not be able to move and do anything. They can only read. And if you are authorizer, you can move from this state to this state, from authorized for publication to published, and again, nobody can write to the document here. So WIP users, checkers, approvers can only read the document, but they cannot modify it. And if you need to modify the document, then authorizer or approver can revise it and comes back to WIP in progress, and then again the document is modifiable. Does that answer your question?
Yep, that's fine.
All right.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
No, welcome. Anyone else? As if not, I believe we have finished our training for today. It was orientated mainly to designers who would create models, drawings using CD originated workflow. All right. So, if no more questions, then thank you for your attendance. The session is recorded and it will be available later on.